if you have a property, it is your duty to maintain that property.
Okay.
It is your duty to maintain that property. So we must look at all of that and not cause wastage. So if you have a property and you are causing wastage, of course you can be taken on by your spouse because you are seeking to deplete that property that you both acquired during the subsistence of the marriage.
Okay. Can you just mention few properties for us? Because we're talking about properties. Can you just list them? Land, house,
So
car?
a house, land, cars, TV, microwave, all you can think of, every property.
Businesses together. And
yes.
All. Okay.
Exactly. It's still property.
Okay.
It's still property. Shares, bonds, everything, property.
Okay. So if you don't know of some properties I have, I didn't declare them, and it's just a secret to me. How will the other person find out that you had this during the process and we all this together if I hid it from you from the word go? Because most men or women have properties that their partners don't know of.
Okay, so I'll first of all deal with how wrong it is to have a property and not let your spouse know, because that is the first bone of disaster. Because I do not see why you want to hide a property from your spouse. Okay. So that means that you have something to hide, and obviously you shouldn't be with such a person who is hiding a property, or you acquire a property and you're hiding it. Then that means that you have something to hide if we are truly supposed to be in a union together. Yeah. So if you do not know that the person has acquired a property, of course, investigations will have to be done to find out when the person acquired that property. If it proves that that property was acquired during the subsistence of the marriage, it's 50-50 sharing.
Okay. So it's a piece of land I have. I've willed that piece of land to our child. We have a child together. I've willed that land to my child. Now unfortunately, we have to go our separate ways. Am I going to take that land and split it between you and the child? Or am I going to take the whole land and give it back to you, my husband, or whoever?
Okay, so the question you ask raises a very complicated situation. Okay. Now, first of all, you talk about wills. Wills are only operative after your death. That is one. Two, you can only give out. You can also only give out personal property. So if you own a property with some other person, you cannot give the whole property to somebody without the other person's consent. So what I mean is that, assuming it's your husband, you both have a land or you both have a house. Your husband cannot will that whole house to some person or some other person without your consent, because the property belongs to both of you. So he can only give out the portion of the property that belongs to him. So if it's a 5-bedroom house, he can only will maybe 2.5, which is a share, to another person. He cannot give out the whole property to himself or any other person. But even if it's for your child needs to have benefits in your estate. So that brings us to another interesting topic.
Oh my God. I'm enjoying this conversation. It's a big eye-opener. Most of us don't know the laws. We don't know what we're doing, our rights and all that. It's nice.
Yeah, exactly. So quite a number of people do not make wills in Ghana because they actually think that you have to make the will if you think you're about dying. But the best thing to do and the most safest way is to make a will once you start getting property, and you can always make changes to your will at any point in time. What we call codicil. To make codicils to your will, you can always make changes. That's one thing. Two, we need to understand that once you do your will, you put yourself in a much more better situation as compared to what others. Because if you don't make a will, the state will now determine how your property is going to be shared under PNDC law 111. That's the interstate succession law. And there are various percentages. That discussion will be for another day.
We definitely need you back on the hot seat about a lot of things.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. But just as I mentioned, even with the will and the properties, when you put all those things in your will, you are guaranteeing or you're making sure that your children or people you want your estate to go to are guaranteed and are secure. So if you even do a will and you don't make provision for dependents on you, that is children that you are taking care of, I mean below 21 who are dependent on you, and you don't make any provision for them, the law requires that they can make an application to the court for provision to be made for them out of your estate, out of your properties. So it's very interesting. So you can even have children if you don't give them properties in your will. After you die, they can make an application to the court that we were dependent on you, and I'm using the word key, the key word is dependent. So if the child is not dependent on you, meaning that the child is independent, is working, is on his own, if you don't make provision for the person cannot come and complain. It's only dependents, people you were taking care of, people who are still depending on you, that can apply, and usually for people below the age of 21.
So the court will decide what goes to those children below the age of 21.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow, we need more education on our media, TV, radio, WhatsApp, because these are all new to me. Wow, this is an eye-opener, and I'm grateful.
So this is one of the things I think, that before people get into marriage, they need to be educated on all these, because all these ramifications come in when you're in marriage. So before you even enter, you need to you need to learn about all these. You need to learn about all these before you even go into marriage, because some people go into marriage with a very wrong mindset. Some people go with a very different mindset, so they get involved and they have issues. Property is one big issue, sex is one big issue, and all these issues. People go with some expectations, they get there and the expectations are not met. Or some people go with wrong notions, they don't communicate it to their spouses, and it becomes boom, problems develop, and the next thing is unfortunately divorce.
So where can somebody who is ready to get married get all this information about their rights, the laws that protect them, and all that in Ghana?
So just like how when people are going to get married, they go to a laboratory technician to test them. It's the same when you're going to get married. Marriage is a legal contract, so you need to see a lawyer. Both of you need to see a lawyer to get all these explanations, to know all the ramifications of getting married and all the things that come with it. So assuming you already had a child before you coming into marriage, what can be done for that child? Where will the child be? Where is he going to stay? Who does the maintenance of the child? There's a lot when it comes to marriage. I mean, maintaining your children, there are laws on maintenance of children, there are laws on, criminal laws. If you don't maintain your children, you allow the children are exposed to danger, a whole lot.
There are so many laws we are not aware of. So, and there are so many branches or maybe units of the law or whatever. I don't know what I'm putting it right, but which type of lawyer should I see if I'm going to get married to know my rights? What is that lawyer called?
So generally in Ghana, any or every lawyer you see can attend to you, because we have all been trained in all these. But obviously, legal practitioners or lawyers who are still in practice, who go to court actively, who are revising their notes, are the best I recommend for you, so that you get the best of currently what is going on in the law and what is going on in practice. Especially those who have dealt with matrimonial cases, because people enter into marriage and you need to be educated so that you know some of the mistakes people make, so that you don't make those mistakes, or even if you know that you have those challenges, you minimize them as you enter into marriage.
So I get up now all dressed up. I want to see a lawyer. Where do I go? How do I start from? Do I just get up and show up in?
So you need to know and book an appointment with a lawyer. So people ask, how do I get a lawyer? The easiest place to go to find a lawyer is to go to the courts. So when you get to the courts, you definitely see a lawyer, and you may liaise with the person to book an appointment to go and talk to the lawyer. Don't approach the lawyer in court and want to talk to him. No. It's just like meeting a doctor on the street and want to. No. You don't do that. You book an appointment, make sure it's well ahead of time. You tell him whatever you're going to do. And obviously, you prepare the fees down so that you can pay the appropriate fees for that advice.
The fees, that's also a scary part. It could be expensive. I don't know the price charges, but I think if you want to enlighten yourself, there should be a price to pay. So the fee should be something you should be able to. Because getting to know all these rights, I didn't know about most of them, and it's enlightening. So I'm glad we have you here. You're going to be coming on the Hot Seat with Pres Lakuma always. Everybody watching should subscribe to this channel for more information like this. And I think we're going to make a better Ghana if we all do something of this sort. So,
Yeah, I mean, surely, just as you mentioned, you see quite a number of people are looking at the monetary terms, the fees, but the advice that you get can save you from a lot of things, a lot of trouble. And for instance, if you know what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do, you don't even put yourself in situations that you'll be making certain expenditure that you're not supposed to be making. So it's very important always to get advice. Prevention is always better than cure. In fact, the cure for a marriage which is breaking down, it's huge. The emotional trauma, the other things that come into being, I mean, it's you just cannot imagine it.
Okay. So what are some other marital rights? If you can just mention a few.
So obviously, if you have kids, you have a right to have access to your kids. That is, if you have kids, both of you have access to the kids, and a right to give name to the child, right to have access to the kids, as I've mentioned. So for example, if both of you have children, let's say 2 children, and the children are below the age of 8 years, under our laws, custody is usually given to the mother of the said children. If they are below 8 years, custody is given to the mother. Okay. So if you're having challenges or you're having problems in the marriage, ordinarily, the children will be given to the mother, unless we can show that the mother's attitude or lifestyle is detrimental to the children. So custody is one key thing people don't know. So you need to understand that if you are having custody issues, you either report to the Department of Social Welfare, or you report to the Domestic Violence Victims Support Unit, DOVSU. So if you have custody issues, you should report to the police and they can carry off from them. If it becomes so difficult, the next thing you do is to go to the courts to ask for custody. But I've given you the parameters already, so that's what you need to do. Talking about the rights to said children, you also have a duty to maintain the children. Maintenance of that children means that providing the needs of the children, food, shelter, clothing. And maintenance of children is the mutual responsibility of both a husband and a wife, or a mother and a father. It is not limited to one person. You don't say because he's the man, he must provide everything and you are just to support. The law requires that both of you maintain them 50-50.
50-50?
Exactly.
Wow. 50-50. But you know our culture and how we have this, the man is the head of the house, he pays the school fees, he pays the rent, he fuels the car, all that.
Yeah, but the point we need to understand is that once you are doing some of these things, you need to know the basic things that govern whatever you're doing. It is because people do not know, that is why they have the challenges that they go through. So the key thing you need to understand is that when it comes to these issues of maintenance, you have a responsibility. So you don't go giving birth to so many children, because at the end of the day, you bear responsibility of taking care of them. That is one thing. The other thing you need to also understand is that you need to have a shared responsibility when it comes to responsibility both of you are doing when it comes to that. You need to have an understanding. And once you know that that's what you're doing, you will ensure that when you're even bringing the children, you plan for them and you work hard to maintain the children. So that kind of mentality should start leaving people's mind. That is why a lot of families are having challenges and are having problems, because people don't plan to maintain their children. People don't work hard to maintain their children. They give birth to so many children, and at the end of the day, there's pressure on them. And that's one key thing that's affecting most of the families we have, because there's so much pressure on them. So many pressure. Children.
Yeah.
Exactly. So those are key things you need to understand. And maybe to add, you also have a responsibility and a duty to make sure that you don't expose your children to danger. So for example, if you allow your child to run out of your house and the child goes and a vehicle hits the child, and it is proven or it is shown that you did not pay attention to the child, or you allow the child, you expose the child to danger, you suffer a criminal offense of exposing a child to danger. Even if you don't provide for the basic needs of your child, it is also a criminal offense. So people should understand that giving birth to children is not just something you should just go ahead and do. There are responsibilities which come. There are criminal sanctions. If you do not take very good care of them, you will put yourself in trouble.
And talking of children, are there somebody between the age of 0 to 18? Who is a child in Ghana?
So in Ghana, from 0 to less than 18 is a child. From 18 and above, you are an adult.
Okay, so anything that happens to that child after 18.
As I mentioned, you know our custom. the person still remains a child, as in your child, responsibility of maintaining that child. So those are the key things that one will need to know.
Okay. So if the person is no more a child, he's 21, but still living under your care, you are responsible for that person, right?
Exactly.
Okay. This is an eye-opener, and I'm glad you have touched on various topics. You've touched on marital rights, you've touched on duties, you've touched on responsibilities, child care, will, divorce. We have to find a time, break these things into sections. So you are always going to be on the hot seat, okay? So thank you for coming. Thank you in advance. So
thank you very much for having me.
What are marital duties? What are some of the things that I should do as a man, I should do as a woman? What are marital duties?
So one of the key things I'm also going to talk about is maintenance of spouses. You have a duty to maintain your spouse. So as a wife, you have a duty to maintain your husband.
Nice.
And as a husband, you have a duty to maintain your spouse. So you don't see your wife sick and ignore her. It is your duty to maintain her. So you don't see that your husband does not have money and you ignore him because you think that, well, he's supposed to be providing money and he is not having money. My money is my money. You see, under our laws, even when it comes to divorce or when you are preparing to get divorced or while the matter is going on, the court can make an order for reasonable provision whilst you are still not divorced yet. You are going through the process. So you need to understand that you both have a duty to maintain each other. And that's what a lot of people do not know. And maintenance talks about the dressing, how the person appears, health-wise, and all other things. These are duties that a lot of people check. So you don't see your husband in a state or in a situation and you just ignore the person. You don't see your wife in crisis and you just ignore her. You might be putting yourself in a lot of trouble. It may even get to a point where your actions could be considered as emotional abuse if you ignore your spouse or if you intentionally put her through emotional stress or emotional trauma. And all these things come under a special area of law in Ghana here, which we call domestic violence. And violence is not only physical assault.
Yeah, I was coming to ask.
Exactly.
If I don't maintain my husband, what are the consequences? What am I going to face? But you already touched on that, so I see.
Yes, obviously, if you do not maintain your spouse and it's shown you don't, in customarily under our laws, it's a woman who cooks for the husband and things like that, clean the house and stuff. But these responsibilities can be shared. It's not a hard and fast rule. It's not written in a law that as a woman, by all means, you must cook for your husband. If your husband can also cook for you, why not? If your husband can help you wash, why not? In fact, you should come together to find out what is feasible for you and what works for you. That's the most important thing. And communication is key.
Communication is key. Every house with what will work for you. People don't know that. They see something else and they want to imbibe it. But you have to know yourself, know your partner, sit down, make rules for you. I don't know if you remember my other video about marriage realities and everything. You have to make the rules for your household. You are in different environment, different country, different weather. All these things play a role. But people just see and copy blindly. But I'm glad we have you here and you're touching on all these. What are some of the other
Exactly. I think before then I must even add also that as married couples, you must be having an evaluation of your marriage. What have you been doing right? What have you been doing wrong? And look, for some people, they are so secretive in their marriage. They don't want their spouses to know how much they earn. Their spouses have never seen their pay slips.
Yeah.
And the question we ask ourselves is that why is it that people are in marriage and they are having challenges like this? Some may have genuine cases because they may think that one spouse is a spendthrift. Some spouses don't save. They don't even save for children. They don't save for their accommodation. So they're always hit with a lot of things. They spend on things they're not supposed to spend on, do lavish celebrations, and at the end of the day, they go crying. They don't seek the consent of their spouses when they're even taking loans and they're taking anything that will have financial burden. You both need to discuss. When you're doing anything that will bring any burden, you want to undertake an academic exercise, you want to do any investment, you need to discuss it because it has an effect on the family. It is no more you, it is both of you. And you both have, even if you want to take a political decision, even a religious decision, both of you would have to get an agreement so that you have a workable and a feasible order for both of you.
Wow, this is mind-blowing. You've all heard it from Lawyer Adugu. What are your marital rights? Do you know all this information I'm getting right now? what are your marital duties. If you need more information, he has showed you where you're going to get more information. Know your rights, know what you're entitled to, what you're not entitled to. Not because you're going in with the mindset that you're going to hold properties, but you're going to help build a home. You're going to help build your partner. If you don't maintain them, you're also liable, as we just found out. So I'm very glad to have you here today. We're going to get more topics, reschedule our time, and make this something like a different session so that people would learn from it, because I've gotten so much information this morning, and I'm sure people are glad that this is going on. Thank you once again. And any advice for somebody who wants to pursue law, a young person who is admiring you from far and be like, oh, I want to be a lawyer one day. Then somebody says, no, we have this notion, lawyers, this and that. I don't want to use any of these words here. Any advice, please?
So what I would tell people like that who wish to become lawyers is that, one, nothing good comes easy. That's the first thing. Two, nice. It is a profession worth pursuing, because you always keep on learning and you always use whatever information you have to your best of your abilities. And with the kind of knowledge that you get, you have a lot of power to influence a lot of things around you. So I urge anybody who is interested in law to come in for the fact that it's a profession, it's a calling, and not to think that, well, maybe they think that a lot of, lawyers have money, so you come in for the money. If your focus is the money, you might end up doing a lot of wrong things. So it's a professional age, anybody who has conscience and anybody who really is determined to help humanity to join. It's a very good calling.
I know you're a very passionate person. You've been doing this for long. I saw you growing up in the debates in school and everything, very knowledgeable, very smart, and I'm proud to have you as my friend. So you were my MC during my marriage, and everything went well. Today, people still talk about it. So he's an MC, he's a media host, he's a radio stations, TV, granting interviews. I'm sure most of you have seen him on Joy FM. So if you want to contact him, leave comments below, and I'll link you up to him to host your events, be it funeral, be it weddings, naming ceremonies. He travels in Ghana and anywhere else. We were recently in the US, so even if you have an event in the US, book in advance, get a ticket for him, and he'll fly here. Then I'll use that as an opportunity to see my friend and my brother. Thank you once again, Andrews.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. I'm so appreciative of all the good things you've said about me, and I appreciate everything that you are doing. And I think that you are doing a very good work with your YouTube channel, and keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you too.